thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me a voice I can use.
That was our buddy Ahmed Ali giving the speech at his high school graduation from Transitions Plus in June. That speech was done using adaptive technology, and it was a first for Minneapolis Public Schools. And after that, well, he went viral. Good Morning America, national media outlets. It was pretty cool. He was so inspirational that day that Minneapolis Public Schools invited him back to open their school year this morning. This time to encourage not just fellow students, but teachers about how important their roles are in shaping young minds and lives.
It's my pleasure to welcome the internationally famous MPS graduate, Ahmed Ali.
My name is Ahmed Ali, and I graduated from the Transition Plus program on June 6, 2019. I have always been interested in public speaking, but I didn't know if the world would actually accept me because I couldn't walk and talk like other people could. I can remember my first day very clearly. I wanted to talk to my teacher, who also served as my case manager, Miss Patricia Milberg, and I had a straightforward and honest conversation about who I was and my goals in life. That conversation is the reason why I am going to college in a few weeks. One person can change how a student thinks of themselves and their ambition. It just takes one person at the right time and place. I think one of the most important roles an educator must have is to genuinely care for their student. Investing yourself in your students allows for the creation of a positive and successful learning experience for students in your classroom. One of the most sincere ways to grow intelligence in your classroom is by actually listening to what your students have to say. You are the most important people in our society and world. Your calling is to positively impact your students each time you interact. Or at the very least, don't harm them, dim their lights, or dampen their voices. One thing I want to ask you, please don't forget the needs of special education programs in your schools. Don't put them off to the side, celebrate them. At the end of the day, disability doesn't mean inability. Remember that.
Wow. If you remember, Ahmed told me that his love for public speaking and desire to keep learning, fueled by teachers who believed in him, made his next life choice easy that he just told you about. He's going to college this fall, and he promises he's still going to do a lot of public speaking. Congrats, Ahmed. We are so proud of you.